In this video, we are going to go over the Kade Ruotolo vs Andrew Tackett match at CJI. Right off the bat, Andrew is able to secure a single leg, and Kade does a beautiful job of defending and squaring back up. Andrew was able to grab the single leg by timing Kade's takedown feint. When Kade dips down and comes back up, that's when Andrew goes for the single leg. Kade quickly brings his left leg on the outside of Andrew's right leg. Then he gets the overhook on his left side, all while defending Andrew's left arm from being able to get the underhook or grabbing his hips. And then he's able to get out of danger from there. Andrew attempts another takedown by feinting with his left arm. That forces Kade to posture up, and that's when he goes for a double leg. Kade responds by turning his hip to the left, and that forces Andrew to lose the grip for the double leg. And so Andrew responds with an upper body underhook. Andrew uses that by trying to lift Kade up and most likely trying to dump him on his back, something that you would see in a wrestling match. However, Kade does a beautiful defense by using his left foot to hook behind Andrew's left leg, which prevents Andrew from getting the right angle to be able to dump him. When Kade falls back to the ground, both athletes are leaning forward, and because Kade still has the overhook, he's able to perform an Uchimata. Andrew still has a very deep underhook on his right side, and he's trying to use that to get into a dogfight position. However, Andrew doesn't have control of Kade's left leg, so when he starts getting up, Kade tries to throw his left leg over for an armbar. Kron Gracie successfully used the overhook armbar on JT Torres in a previous ADCC. When Andrew starts feeling the armbar coming, he changes his underhook from around the waist to over the shoulder, and that's going to help him avoid a bad armbar situation. He also postures up at the same time so Kade's leg cannot clear his body. That's going to deny the armbar altogether. He uses that underhook over the shoulder to clear what's left of Kade's overhook, and then he's able to get back to his feet. Andrew initiates a wrestling clinch, and then he's able to fight his way to an underhook again. Kade tries to square up with him to avoid this, but Andrew is able to use his right hand grip against Kade's left hand grip, push it away from their body, so he's able to use that split second clearance to able to grab a body lock. Again, Kade responds with an overhook on his right side, grabs Andrew's right elbow, and goes for another Uchimata against the wall. Andrew is quick to get up with his underhook, and he's able to secure another body lock on Kade. Andrew starts attempting to try to get the back, and very briefly he's able to get a slight hook on his left side. Kade does an interesting defense, and he raises his right knee to defend. If Andrew tries to dump him on his back like earlier, Kade is going to be able to extend that leg, hook behind Andrew's right knee, and do the same defense that he did earlier in the match. If Andrew tries to jump to his back, that high knee is going to be able to stop Andrew's right hook. This time Kade tries to attempt a Hiragoshi with his right overhook, and once that fails, Andrew tries to attack for a knee tap. With Kade's athleticism and balance, he is able to stay on his feet, and right before he hits the slanted wall, he goes for another Uchimata. But this time, Andrew is able to shuck Kade's overhook and go to his back. Notice how earlier in the match when Kade was able to successfully get the Uchimata, the opposite hand of his overhook was free to either post on the ground or grab his opponent's elbow to be able to generate enough rotation to flip his opponent over. However, in this attempt, Andrew is the one that is able to trap Kade's arm, which doesn't allow him to have that rotational power, and then Andrew is able to win the underhook battle and gain access to Kade's back. From here, Andrew is able to jump, get both of his hooks in, and then starts attacking the back. Even though this looks like a weird position to be in, Kade is staying composed, using his hands to fight the grips, and defending very calmly. Andrew is able to lock up a body triangle, and now it's up to Kade to figure out how to get out of it. Two things that I've noticed from Kade's back defense is that if his opponent has one arm over the shoulder, he's making sure to keep his hands close to his neck so he's able to fight off grips and any chokes coming his way. But if his opponent has double unders from the back, he has no problem extending his arms out and looking for better positions to get out of the body triangle. While they're both fighting for grips, Andrew is able to get this very important wrist control on Kade's left arm, which allows him to start isolating that arm, so he isn't able to use that hand to defend any chokes. Kade realizes the danger that he's in and starts using his right hand to strip that grip. However, now both of his arms are occupied and Andrew can start going for the choke from here. Eventually, he is able to strip the grip and he starts using his left hand to start defending the choke again. Now we're in a position where both of them are on their side, and this is important because now Andrew can start punching his right arm through, and this is going to force Kade to turn to his left. And what Andrew is trying to do is flatten Kade out on his stomach. Kade knows that he can't afford to be flat on his stomach with a body triangle in, and so he uses the momentum to continue turning. But now Andrew was able to get the rear naked choke position with his forearm across the jaw, and Kade responds with a late stage rear naked choke defense. He uses both of his hands to start unraveling Andrew's hand that is behind his head, and he's able to accomplish the defense by bringing his right hand as close to Andrew's left wrist as possible, and he uses his left hand to push that arm up, which allows him to successfully defend the rear naked choke. Andrew tries to go belly down again, but notice how this time his left elbow is posted on the floor. Last time when he attempted this, he had the underhook on Kade's left side, and that allowed for more control when he was going for the rear naked choke. However, this time, because he doesn't have control, Kade is able to use that to his advantage, and instead of turning over to his belly, he's able to bring his back to the mat and away from Andrew's upper body by using his right leg to create momentum to sit up from here. At the same time, he's using his right arm to post against Andrew's chest, and that prevents Andrew from being able to transition to his back and also deny him from being able to mount. This allows Kade to sit up and get back into top position. Kade backs off, and Andrew uses his right foot as a post on Kade's hip, and then he replaces that post with the left arm frame, which allows him to do a technical stand-up. For the next minute or so, both of them try to exchange takedown attempts, but neither of them are successful. Eventually, Kade goes for a double leg attempt, and Andrew is able to stop it by getting a very important underhook on his left hand side. And while they have over-unders on each other, Andrew is able to pummel in his right hand and gets the double underhooks. But at this point, he isn't able to connect his hands behind Kade's back. To prevent that important grip, Kade leans forward, connects his own hands together, and squeezes his arms so Andrew's underhooks become weaker and weaker to the point where he has to give up on them. Now the next move is pretty hard to see because the referee gets in the way, but it looks like Kade has the overhook on his right side, and he's able to shuck Andrew's left arm past his body. Here's a clip of Michael Pixley teaching the move, and it's a great way to get access to the back from an overhook position.
So I push in, when I feel that counter pressure, I slide to the tricep, pointing my elbow up, looking behind me. As I'm stepping, pulling the arm by my face, and I'm keeping this collar tight.
To prevent back control, Andrew turns back into Kade and gets his overhook, and this time Kade is the one with the underhook. And this time Andrew tries for an Uchimata. However, just like his unsuccessful attempt, Kade is blocking Andrew's right arm, and with the momentum that's spinning, Andrew isn't able to push into Kade and ends up putting himself in bottom position. Kade lands in a great position because he's past the knee shield and he has hip-to-hip connection. However, Andrew does still have the underhook on his right side. With that underhook, Andrew is able to get to his side, then he starts framing on Kade's right knee, and he's able to get his left knee facing up by Kade's right hip. That allows him the angle to get his foot free and get back into closed guard. Kade tries to open the closed guard by going for a can opener, and Andrew is able to defend it by prying Kade's grips off with his own hands. From here, there's only a few seconds left in the round, and both of them know that they can't get a submission, so they try to cover each other's mouths to damage the cardio for the later rounds. It was a very intense and action-packed first round with a lot of crazy movements, but make no mistake that both of them are being very technical as well. We're going to skip the first minute of the second round because both athletes go for takedowns, but neither of them are able to successfully get one. Kade gets a collar tie on his right side, and Andrew pushes Kade's elbow up, and that gives him clearance to be able to get the underhook on his left side. Again, Kade gets the overhook, and he has the collar tie on his left side. He uses both of these grips to whip Andrew to his right side, and he's able to get a takedown from here. A really big factor for this takedown is the slanted wall. Because Andrew ran out of space and he had to post on the wall, he wasn't able to bring his left foot in a position to square up with Kade. And because his left arm was trapped because of Kade's overhook, that didn't allow him to have any sort of post to defend either. And that is what leads to the success for this takedown. Andrew is quick to grab Kade's right leg, but the danger of a single leg with your arms in between your opponent is the threat of the crucifix, which Kade tries to go for. Andrew realizes the threat of the crucifix, and with no hesitation, he gets to his feet and brings his hips up high, which denies Kade the ability to settle into the crucifix, and eventually he has to give it up. We find ourselves again in a neutral standing position, and both athletes are looking to take each other down again. We get to the point where they start interlocking their fingers on both hands, and Andrew uses that to his advantage, and he throws both of his hands way behind him to enter for the single leg. The further he can throw his arms back with Kade's grips, the closer his chest is going to be to that lead leg, so he's able to close the distance and grab the single leg. Kade's left leg is initially in between Andrew's leg, but he's able to reposition it so it's on the outside of Andrew's hip, which allows him to go for a scissor takedown and invert directly into a heel hook. To defend the heel hook, Andrew is focused on making sure that his hips are facing up, which forces Kade to lose the torque on the heel hook. So in response, Kade lifts his hips, dips his shoulder down so he can expose Andrew's heel again, and starts going for the heel hook again. Andrew responds by rolling through. Kade is able to expose the heel again, so Andrew has to roll one more time, and then he is able to get his foot in a position where Kade no longer has the angle for the heel hook. Instead of trying to expose the heel again, Kade tries to transition into a straight ankle lock, but Andrew seems very confident in this position. You can tell that his upper body is not extended enough for this to be a threat, and he knows that it's very unlikely that he's going to be submitted from here. When Andrew goes belly down, Kade loses the ankle completely, and Andrew tries to spin again, which could have landed him in a position to either get in a leg drag or side control. But even through all of this chaos, Kade is still aware enough to bring his right arm to block Andrew's left leg to deny him any of the positions that I just mentioned. Andrew goes back the other way, and he might have been attempting a knee bar here, but Kade is able to pull his right leg out, clear his knee, and then they both stand up. As soon as both athletes get up, Andrew is able to get his left hand collar tie, and then pushes Kade's left forearm down and establishes the underhook on his right side. He pummels on his left side so he's able to get double underhooks, and from there Andrew shucks his left shoulder up so he's able to get a deep standing body lock. Kade tries to go for an Uchimata, but Andrew jumps with it so that allows him to defend it, and then Andrew gets a little bit too excited and tries to go for the back in this position. In this frame, you can see Kade's right overhook is still very strong, and that's going to deny back exposure. Because Andrew put his hips on top of Kade's hip, Kade is able to grab Andrew's right elbow and go for a successful Uchimata. From here, we see micro adjustments from both athletes. Andrew is trying to keep that underhook on his left side, and Kade is trying to use that opportunity to set up his Darce choke or an Anaconda choke from here. Kade's main focus right now is making sure that he can get his right hand to his left bicep. Once he's able to get that, we see that his left hand starts creeping up on Andrew's back, and now the Darce is starting to get much tighter from here. When Kade feels like he has the grip complete, that's when he starts turning to his side and starts to look to finish the fight. From here, Andrew has to go into full defense mode, and so he gives up his half guard and also the underhook on his left side and goes into 100% survival mode. So Andrew starts fighting tooth and nail to make sure that his hips are facing down, and he's trying to stay in turtle position so he can defend the choke. When Andrew sees that Kade's leg will not be able to hook his own, that's when he goes fully onto his back, and from here it's very difficult to finish the choke. For a second, Kade is able to bring Andrew back to his side, and Andrew has to grab his own leg just so he can survive the position. From there, he focuses his energy on getting his back to the mat again, and he's able to eventually defend the Darce choke. Kade transitions into a north-south choke, and Andrew starts defending by bringing his right arm and getting it in between his chest and Kade's throat. He starts pushing against Kade's neck with his right arm to give him some space, and then he's able to turn his body to the side to defend the north-south choke. Andrew uses his left arm to frame against Kade's hip. That allows him space to bring his left knee in, and he's able to recover back into close guard. Kade had some excellent submission attempts, but the mix of Andrew's grit and technical defense allowed him to survive. From close guard, Andrew grabs behind Kade's head, and he has his right hand on Kade's left bicep. He tries to use that to get Kade's arm out of the way and throws up a triangle, but Kade doesn't allow him to clear the arm. And with the opening that he's made, he's able to bring his left knee in and starts getting in a really good passing position. In this frame, we see that Kade is past Andrew's knee shield, and he also has his right leg stapled to the floor. Andrew does a great guard recovery from here, and he makes a frame with his right elbow, and then he straightens out his right leg, which allows him to get rid of the staple, and he's able to recover back into half guard from here. From here, Andrew tries to transition into K guard, but Kade is able to stop it by blocking his left leg. Andrew transitions by leaning to his left side and potentially exposing Kade's heel from here. Kade tries to defend by bringing his right leg over, and Andrew stops it with his right arm. Because of the way their legs are entangled right now, Andrew starts going for a calf slicer. From here, Andrew's upper body is too low to finish the calf slicer, and Kade knows that he can't allow him to get any higher. So he frames against Andrew's arms to prevent him from creeping up, and he's also focused on getting rid of Andrew's grip. Once the grip is broken, that's when Kade knows that he's safe, and he's allowed to go on the offensive and starts going for a toe hold. Both athletes know that this is probably not going to work because Kade doesn't have any meaningful control on the leg that he's trying to attack, so they both try to get up, and Kade is the one that's able to win top position from here because Kade's right leg is free and in a better position to get on top rather than Andrew from here. And with just a few seconds left on the clock, the round ends. Another ridiculous round from both athletes, and it's very clear to everyone that Andrew won the first round, Kade won the second round, and it all comes down to this last round, which means you know that both athletes are going to keep up the pace to try to win that $1 million. Within the first few seconds of round number 3, Andrew goes for another takedown, and because his left hand wasn't able to get directly behind Kade's right knee, he transitions into a standing body lock. Kade responds with a Granby roll, but Andrew keeps his grips and he's able to follow him to his back. Andrew leans back, which brings Kade's weight on top of him, and that allows him to get the hooks, and Kade starts his back escape by bringing his back to the mat. In this position, Andrew has double underhooks, and he's trying to use his right arm to pull Kade's back off the mat so he can get his body in between Kade's body and the mat to get better back control. Again, Kade knows that he's not in danger of any choke from here because of the double underhooks, and so Kade takes his left arm and extends it to peel off Andrew's right hook. That allows him to get his right leg free, and then Andrew responds by trying to get into a leg drag position. But the problem is Andrew isn't able to get his body over Kade's center line. Kade is able to make his legs very heavy in this position and denies Andrew the leg drag position. Andrew gives up the position and then ends up in Kade's closed guard. We're going to fast forward a little bit until we get to the point where Kade decides to open up his guard. Andrew tries to take that opportunity to go for a guard pass, but with good frames, Kade is able to retain guard. Andrew tries to go for another guard pass from here, but it's not very technical. We see that he has his hand on Kade's right hip, but the inside position doesn't mean much when Kade's right foot has inside position. When Andrew goes to pass, that right foot I mentioned allows Kade to easily maintain guard. And in this frame here, it would be very easy for Kade to simply go back in the guard position and play from there. But with $1 million on the line, Kade knows that he needs to be more aggressive, and so he decides to try to stand up from here instead. This time Kade abandons any attempt to get an overhook on his right side and tries to stand up. Andrew follows and then jumps to his back. To defend the choke attempt, Kade goes 2-on-1 on Andrew's right arm, and he's able to strip the grip from there. Andrew tries to hold on, but because he doesn't have double underhooks or any over-under grips, Kade quickly pushes behind him to get Andrew off of his back. Because Andrew has his ankles crossed here, when he falls down, he actually has counter pressure from his butt and his ankles to make Kade actually fall from here. Kade knows that he's going to go down, and if he goes down with his back facing towards Andrew, that means he's going to start fighting from a defensive position again. And so before he falls, he makes sure to twist his body so he's facing towards Andrew. Again, we see the battle between Andrew's underhook and Kade's overhook, and from here, Kade is able to eventually get up and get back into a neutral position. We can finally see that both athletes are getting a little bit tired here, but despite that, they are both pushing the action. Eventually, Kade is able to throw a few takedown feints and then goes for a double leg. Because Kade's left arm is able to get directly behind Andrew's right knee, he's successful with the takedown. When they both settle into position, Kade is able to get this really strong underhook on his left side, and Andrew is able to respond with really good defense by bringing his arm all the way up around Kade's head and to get back into inside position. Eventually, Andrew gets Kade into close guard. Kade is able to stand up and enter Andrew's open guard. When there's a little bit of space in between them, Andrew tries to wrestle up and drives into Kade. But Kade is able to get a good head and arm grip, and from there, he starts going for an anaconda choke. Now we have to remember that we have less than a minute left in the match, and under these rule sets, both athletes are trying to be as aggressive as possible. Andrew drives straight into Kade and looks to take him down, even though the anaconda choke is pretty tight at this point. He is able to get behind Kade's knees and technically take him down from here, but the anaconda grip is so tight right now that it's very hard for him to advance, and when Andrew tries to get to his side, the choke is only getting tighter from here. At this point, Andrew cannot ignore the grip anymore, and then he's forced to post against the slanted wall and desperately looks for an angle to relieve the pressure. So he flips over Kade, he tries to stay on top, but then Kade transitions into a guillotine choke. There isn't much of a technical escape out of this guillotine. Kade ends up on his back, but within the last few seconds of the match, he goes for a Hail Mary Gogo Plata, and that is the end of round 3. A ridiculous match from start to finish. Some people online were saying that this is the best jiu-jitsu match ever, but I do believe this is definitely the best match of 2024. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think is the best jiu-jitsu match ever, and if you want to see me break it down. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown, and I will see you in the next video.